And we are joined now by former Assistant U.S. Attorney David Katz and the founder of the Free and Equal Elections Foundation, Christina Tobin. Great to have you both. Christina, I'd like to start with you. So we know the president seems to enjoy venues like this, not a surprise. But as Libby pointed out, interestingly, just days ago, his administration did pause $175 million in federal funding to the University of Pennsylvania over its transgender athlete policy. This visit to Pennsylvania, the president says he's always supported the wrestlers. But do you believe there's more to the optics of this trip?
I do. From the viewpoint of the independent voting sector, which I am an expert in for 25 years through my work at the Free and Equal Elections Foundation, I foresee that Trump will likely use this trip to highlight the views of the majority of independent voters that males assigned at birth should be excluded from women's sports. The NCAA, they adopted this, so I foresee that Trump will be promoting this victory. As a former NCAA tennis captain at my college, St. Mary's University in Winona, Minnesota, I could not possibly imagine how that would have impacted my experience competing against males assigned at birth. Finally, it's an issue of women's right and fairness under Title IX.
David, what do you make of the optics of this move? Do you agree?
I think the optics are very good for President Trump. He's been taking a real drubbing in the polls and doing a lot of things that are unpopular, creating this chaos, unnecessary chaos in government agencies. So I think this is one that does make him look good. And I hope that he's going to support the state universities in particular. It's the state universities, and I went to one, the University of California at Berkeley College and Law School. It's really a way up. It's a way for people to join the middle class and the upper middle class by going to these great state universities. So I hope that this controversy over people who are born male and then transition and are allowed to participate in women's sports, I hope that that doesn't get in the way. It's an unpopular issue. It's actually a popular issue with people being for it, including Democrats and independents. That is just unfair to women, as your other guest says there. I hope that doesn't get in the way of a really massive support by this administration of state universities, not curtailing funds to going to state universities, including community colleges and the Cal State, as well as the University of California. So I think Trump is moving in a good direction on this. If he stays with funding the universities, it's a way up for people in the working class to move into the middle class. And a lot of people, of course, this is what they want for their kids. It's always hard to afford. And I hope that him cutting back on the Department of Education doesn't get in the way of that. He seems to have some particular grievances with the Department of Education, but that's a huge engine, again, for people to rise from the working class into professional jobs. And so we should do everything that we can to help those people. That's Title I. And to also help with special education. These private schools, these coupon schools and all that, they don't have the commitment to special education. And we need to keep that commitment to people with disabilities. That's a huge hand up for them, too. So let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater at education.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about that. A major criticism this administration has been facing. Let's talk about another issue. According to a recent New York Times report, a U.S. official said Elon Musk's meeting at the Pentagon Friday was about a potential war with China. This is what the president, though, told our Robert Sherman about that story.
When they see a thing like that and they hear that story about Elon and China, what they should do is realize that the New York Times is a corrupt institution, because I think they're the ones. They knew that story wasn't true. Nobody believed that story. People that, when I first called, they laughed when they heard this story. Nobody believed it, that the Pentagon was giving him a briefing on what war with China would look like, and he has business. No, they made that up because it's a good story to make up.
Okay, so Christina, after all the criticism, it does look like Musk only received unclassified generalities. But the insight Elon Musk is providing the president is really not doing him any favors in the private sector, as you know. His stocks have tanked. His company taking a major hit. His Tesla facilities under fire, literally. He's still vowing to plow ahead. He believes his work is the best for the good of the country, you could say. Do you see his input, or perhaps the optics of it, evolving with all we've seen thus far?
I would say that in the independent sector, the American voter sector, that is, strongly agrees that our business and military technology needs to be secured and American made. So I think what Elon is doing is a great direction. We need to have security. We have a lot of challenges, to put it lightly, with China. And I think the action that he's taking is the right one at this moment in time.
And David, I appreciate you mentioning the president dismantling the Department of Education as a part of this conversation about him heading to this sporting event. But what do you make of the fallout he's received with Elon Musk as a top advisor? You could argue a very close advisor. And then the optics of their relationship.
Well, he's an unelected co-president, and I think that this is not what the people voted for. I think when it comes to, Trump, his whole dismissive attitude toward the New York Times reporting was trust me. And I worked for President Reagan, who famously said trust, but verify. And the reason it's so hard to verify with Trump is that he's done the opposite of accountability. He's gotten rid of the inspectors general. There wasn't a readout of this meeting with Musk at the Department of Defense. So he keeps saying, trust me, I would never share with Musk what our war plans with China would look like. And yet he shared so many things with Musk, who's never been approved by the Senate. And he doesn't, as I said, he wasn't someone that the people voted for. And just as a Democrat myself, and I always want to see the country do well, but I do want to see the Democrats win in a year and a half. And I think Musk is just a huge albatross around the neck of Trump. I think Trump will jettison him when he sees how bad the polls are going in a year and a half. But Musk has just become the brand of Trump, and he's a very unpopular brand. He's also dragging down his companies. Nobody wants to drive a Tesla anymore. Tesla stock is tubing. People are wondering why Musk has this fixation with Mars and why we, the taxpayers, ought to be subsidizing it.
David Katz, Christina Tobin, appreciate both perspectives. Thank you so much for being here.
Great to be with you.